Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you are all doing great. In today's session, we are going to explore a very important concept in machine learning and model evolution, the ROC curve. Now you might be thinking, why do we need another metric when we already have accuracy, precision or recall? That's exactly what we will start with. Why another metric? From there, we will move on to understand the ROC curve in detail. We will also compare two key terms that often confuse learners, sensitivity versus specificity. Don't worry, I will make sure you get the intuition behind both. To make things crystal clear, we will walk through an example setup with just 10 cases where the model gives different probabilities. This small example will help us see how thresholds actually affect model performance. Finally, we will put it all together and learn how to plot the ROC curve with different thresholds. So by the end of this session, you will not only understand what an ROC curve is, but also why it's so powerful in evaluating classification models. Let's get started. Alright, let's start with the first question. Why do we even need another metric when we already have accuracy? Accuracy tells us the overall percentage of correct predictions. Sounds good, right? But here's the problem. Accuracy treats all errors as the same, and in real life, that's not always true. Think about it. If there are two types of mistakes a model can make, a false positive where the model predicts something as positive but it's actually negative, a false negative where the model predicts negative but it was actually positive. Now, in many real world situations, these two mistakes don't have the same consequences. For example, in a medical diagnosis, imagine a test for a serious disease. If the model makes a false positive, it means the patient is told they might have the disease, even though they don't. This could cause stress and some extra tests. But if the model makes a false negative, it means the disease is actually present, but the model completely misses it. This is much more dangerous because the patient won't get the treatment they need. So you see, accuracy alone does not capture this difference. That's why we need other metrics that can tell us more about how the model handles positives and negatives separately. And this is exactly where concepts like sensitivity and specificity and the ROC curve come into play. Now that we know accuracy is not always enough, let's move on to a very powerful tool, the ROC curve. The ROC curve is basically a way to evaluate models by looking at both types of errors, false positives and false negatives. Think of it as a dial you can adjust. On one side, you can tune the model to minimize false positives. On the other side, you can tune it to minimize false negatives. The ROC curve helps us see the trade-off between these two. But to build this curve, we need two important metrics: sensitivity, also called the true positive rate or recall. It is defined as TP upon TP plus Fn. This simply tells us how good the model is at correctly identifying the positive cases. In other words, if something is truly positive, how often does our model catch it? The second metric is specificity, also called the true negative rate. It is defined as Tn by Tn plus Fp. This measures how good the model is at correctly identifying the negative cases. So if something is actually negative, how often does the model classify it correctly as negative? Now here's something interesting. In the world of data science, you will often hear about precision and recall. But in the medical field, doctors and researchers usually talk in terms of sensitivity and specificity. The ROC curve brings these concepts together and helps us visualize the balance between correctly detecting positives and correctly rejecting negatives. So in short, the ROC curve is not just about numbers, it's about understanding the trade-offs your model makes in real-world situations. Now let's talk about two very important concepts, sensitivity and specificity. Here's the key idea in simple words. Sensitivity, also called recall, answers the question, out of all the actual positives, how many did we catch? Specificity answers, out of all the actual negatives, how many did we correctly ignore? Let's use a simple analogy. Imagine a fire alarm. Sensitivity is like asking how good the alarm at detecting real fires. Specificity is like asking how good is the alarm at staying silent when there is no fire. Now let's look at a couple of real-world examples. Example 1, cancer screening test. Here, sensitivity means cancer patients correctly detected divided by all actual cancer patients. If sensitivity is low, some patients with cancer are completely missed, and that's very dangerous. That's why in medical diagnosis, the goal is usually high sensitivity. It's better to have some false alarms than to miss real cases. Example 2, fraud detection in banking. Here, sensitivity means fraud transactions caught divided by all fraud transactions. Specificity means genuine transactions allowed divided by all genuine transactions. If specificity is low, lots of genuine customers will have their valid payments blocked. That's not only annoying but also costly. So in this case, the goal is high specificity because you don't want to trouble genuine users. But here's the tricky part. There's always a trade-off. If we increase sensitivity to catch every possible fraud, we may lower specificity and end up flagging many genuine transactions. If we increase specificity to let almost every genuine transaction pass, we may lower sensitivity and miss some fraud cases. So the balance really depends on the problem we are solving. The takeaway is simple. Sensitivity is the most important when missing positives is dangerous, like disease, safety alarms, and security threats. Specificity is the most important when flagging negatives wrongly is costly, like fraud detection, spam filters, or customer service. And to make it even easier, think of a security guard at a mall. A guard with high sensitivity stops almost anyone suspicious, so most real thieves get caught. A guard with high specificity lets genuine shoppers pass without a trouble. The best guard, of course, would have both high sensitivity and high specificity. That's the balance we are always trying to achieve when building models. Now let's make things more concrete with a simple example. Suppose we have just 10 cases. Out of these, 5 are actual positives and 5 are actual negatives. Our model doesn't directly say yes or no. Instead, it gives us a probability score for how likely each case is positive. Here's the setup. For positives, their score are something like 0.95, 0.82, 0.63, and so on. For negatives, their scores are 0.88, 0.49, 0.40, and so on. Now, the big question is, how do we convert these probability into predictions? That's where a threshold comes in. If the score is greater than or equal to the threshold, we call it positive. Otherwise, we call it negative. Let's test this with 3 different thresholds. Threshold is 0.50. Predicted positives are P1, P2, P3, and also annual. That gives us 3 true positives, 2 false negatives, 1 false positive, and 4 true negatives. Sensitivity comes out of 3 by 5 equals 60%, and specificity is 4 by 5 is 80%. Interpretation, not bad. It catches most positives while keeping false alarms fairly low. Threshold, 0.80. Now only P1, P2, and N1 are predicted positive. This gives us 2 true positives, 3 false negatives, 1 false positive, and 4 true negatives. Sensitivity drops to 40% while specificity stays at 80%. Interpretation, with this strict threshold, we miss more real positives, but we also reduce the number of cases wrongly flagged as positive. Threshold 0.20, this time almost everyone gets flagged, all 5 positive plus N1, N2, and N3. So we have 5 true positives, 0 false negatives, 3 false positives, and 2 true negatives. Sensitivity is now 100% perfect, but specificity drops to 40%, which means many false alarms. Interpretation, the model catches every positive, but at the cost of allowing false positives. So what did we just learn? The threshold you actually choose can dramatically change your model's behavior. A strict threshold gives you fewer false positives but misses many real cases. A lenient threshold catches all positives but produces many false alarms. The ROC curve is basically a way to summarize this trade-off across all possible thresholds. Now let's bring everything together with the ROC curve and thresholds. On the left side, you can see the ROC curve. Each point on this curve corresponds to a different threshold. As we move the threshold, the trade-off between sensitivity and specificity changes. For example, at a strict threshold, we may have fewer false positives but also miss real positives. While at a lenient threshold, we catch more positives but introduce more false alarms. The ROC curve nicely summarizes this behavior. On the right side, we have a confusion matrix at threshold is 0.5. This matrix clearly shows how many predictions fall into each category. True positives, actual positives correctly predicted. True negatives, actually negatives correctly predicted. False positives, negatives wrongly flagged as positives. False negatives, positives wrongly missed. By looking at both these visuals side by side, you can now connect the dots. Changing the threshold moves our position on the ROC curve, and at the same time, it changes the entries in the confusion matrix. This way, the ROC curve is not just an abstract graph. It directly reflects what's happening with model predictions in real world terms. And that's where we will wrap up today's session. Let's quickly recap what we learned. We started with the idea of why accuracy alone is not enough. Then we explored the ROC curve as a powerful tool to evaluate models. We broke down sensitivity and specificity with simple analogies and real-world examples. After that, we looked at a small 10-case example to see how thresholds actually affect model performance. And finally, we connected everything with the ROC curve and confusion matrix, showing how thresholds move us along the curve and change the outcomes. So the big takeaway is ROC curves helps us visualize the trade-off between catching positives and avoiding false alarms, and depending on the problem, we decide where to set the threshold. I hope this session made the concepts of ROC, sensitivity and specificity much clearer for you. If you found this helpful, don't forget to like the video, share it with your friends and subscribe for more easy explanations like this. Thank you so much for learning with me today. Take care, keep practicing, and I will see you in the next session.